Hello and welcome to Taking You to School with Dr. Tom Prichard. I'm your host, JP John Pod from the Two Man Power Trip. Of course, joining me is the former WWE World Tag Team Champion, one of the greatest trainers ever in the history of the business, the Doctor of Desire himself, Dr. Tom Prichard. How you doing today, sir?
John, couldn't be better today. Thank you very much. Yeah, we had a great spirited promo night tonight at JPWA and people talking about their favorite movies. Have you seen any of the Harry Potter movies?
Yes, not all of them, but some of them, yes.
I haven't seen not one. And it was all, I couldn't tell you, but they debated it very passionately about what the favorite Harry Potter movie was.
Wow, really? They
Like,
kind of, I
like,
didn't, they weren't bad,
huh?
but they blend together. Not bad, but they do blend together.
Yeah, I wouldn't know one if it was right in front of me.
That was what they picked for their favorite movie, Harry Potter?
Yes,
Wow.
yes. Yes, I told them no. The greatest movie in the world is Reservoir Dogs. So
Ooh, yeah, that's a good one.
yeah, of
I love The Usual Suspects. I love that one.
course. Yeah.
Big
So we
Lebowski as well. Big Lebowski.
Big Lebowski's pretty good.
Yes. Some good
Yeah.
ones. Heat. Remember Heat with Robert De Niro and Al Pacino?
Well, who could forget Heat?
Yeah. I love old westerns, so I love like The Shootist with John Wayne.
Well,
It's another great one.
yeah. The only western I really liked was Tombstone. I thought that was pretty good.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Brendan. Good evening, Brendan.
Brendan,
Jason. Hello. Good evening.
so far the week's been treating me good.
The modern day cowboy himself, Mitch Miller. Good evening, gentlemen. Ibsen. Hello,
Ibsen,
gentlemen. Stuck in the middle with you. Yeah, every time I hear that song, I think of that movie.
Reservoir Dogs.
And
Yeah.
him cutting the ear off. Yeah.
Yeah. They did that in Russia recently. They cut the guy's ear off and made him eat it.
I saw that. Yeah. Yeah. They
Yes.
don't screw around over there. Yeah. The
No.
terrorists, right? Yeah. Oh, my.
Yeah.
John Wick, he's saying, great movie. Doc, have you
I
seen
hadn't.
John
I
Wick?
had not seen that one. No.
Oh, there's four of them now. They're actually really entertaining. I love the John Wick movies.
Is that with Keanu Reeves?
Yep.
Yeah. No, I haven't had a chance.
Come on, they kill his dog. He's got to get some revenge after they.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Don't mess with the man's dog.
Hi, Dr. Tom. Good to see you. Hello, Barbara. She was on
Barbara.
time today, she said.
Outstanding.
ATF. Let's see if it has something to do with Ronnie Garvin. It might. I heard that when the surgeon first saw Beefcake's mangled face, he said, "This man must have been hit by the hands of stone." Ronnie Garvin. Can anyone confirm?
I can confirm because I was standing right there as the nurse walked in and said, "Oh my God, what's Garvin done again?" So yeah, I'll confirm that. Sure did.
Not parasailing. It was not. It was Ronnie Garvin.
Well, that's what they thought originally. They had to explain that it wasn't. It was knees in the face, I think. So
Jeez.
yeah, but she immediately it was the nurse who said, "Oh my God, I think Garvin struck again."
Instead of
Yeah,
Debbie Does Dallas, we have Donnie Does Dishes. Hi to Donnie.
Donnie does dishes. I like that.
Jason is saying his favorite is the first two Alien movies. Have you seen Alien?
Yeah, and I think I saw the last one with oh man, what's the guy that plays the baseball player?
Baseball player.
Yes, the funny guy who does retired baseball player. I'll think of it in a minute.
Oh, Kenny Powers.
Kenny Powers. Yes,
He was
yes.
an Alien?
He was in the last Alien movie. Yes.
Wow. Okay. Wow. I haven't seen
That's
that.
yes. So I thought that was very entertaining because all of them get killed simultaneously. Well, I don't want to be a spoiler here, but yeah, Kenny Powers was in the last
Oh.
Aliens movie. Yeah.
ATF is saying Bob Euchre is the guy you're talking about. But no, it was Kenny Powers.
No, it's Kenny Powers. Yeah, I couldn't think of the name.
Mike and Maybelline. What is Robert Fuller up to?
I think Robert is in Florida just relaxing. He's retired. I think he and Laverne, his wife, are pleasantly secluded in Florida, probably Clearwater.
Donnie Does Dishes says Kenny Powers. LOL.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Danny McBride, Jason saying yes. And
That's who I was
yes,
trying to think
yes.
of. Yes,
I
but
don't know
then
why I don't even think about his real name. I always say Kenny Powers
Kenny Powers, but I couldn't remember the name of the show. So
because
yeah, Kenny
Eastbound and
Powers.
Down on HBO, that old show, it's so
Yes,
good.
it's
There's
great.
actually an episode where he's in Mexico. I guess he's trying to make his way back. He comes out to Hogan's old theme song, Real American, when he comes out.
Right. So
So good.
yeah,
And he fakes his own death for no reason on that show.
of
Really
course.
great
Yeah,
show.
he's great, man. I knew a couple people like him. Yeah.
Phil, what's going on, Phil?
Yeah, happy half week. I agree.
Ibsen's got a great question for you. When is the first time you met Brutus the Barber Beefcake? Because obviously he just
First,
had the Dark Side of the Ring episode.
yeah, first time I met him was when I first started in Louisiana, and we made a town together. So yeah, it was 1979.
What did you think about him?
Nice guy. Ed, his name was Ed Boulders back then, I think it was, or Ed Hogan, Ed Dizzy Hogan, Dizzy Ed Hogan, whatever it was. It wasn't Beefcake. But I
Yeah,
think
he
it was
was.
Ed.
I think it was Eddie Boulder at one point. Then he was Dizzy Hogan.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think he was talking
he,
about how Funk basically was like, "Man, you're like a dim-witted valley girl from California, like Dizzy or whatever." So then they started calling him Dizzy Hogan,
right. Yeah,
Hogan's little
so
brother, quote unquote. Yeah,
yeah, that's when I met him. So nice guy.
was he with the Hulkster? I'm guessing he was with the Hulkster at that point.
No, he's in Louisiana.
Oh,
And,
no Hulkster. Okay.
no Hulkster. So
What I see here? Oh, Donnie Decisions McBride plays some wild characters.
yes, he does. I watched Pineapple Express just the other day, and he's in that one too. It's pretty entertaining.
Mike, happy hump day.
Yeah.
Now, as far as Beefcake, I know you didn't see, right? You didn't see the Dark Side of the Ring on him?
Did not see Beefcake's Dark Side. No.
Very interesting. I thought that was a pretty good one. Obviously, he's had the ups and downs. He had a great run in the WWF for a long time. Then he had the parasailing accident, which took him out the game for a few years, right as he was probably about to win the Intercontinental Championship from Mr. Perfect at SummerSlam 1990. So, I mean, they go into some stuff, and obviously the Amtrak cocaine, aka aspirin, aka anthrax issue that was going on at the train. Interesting
Yeah.
episode.
Well, as long as Beefcake was okay with it, then I guess it was interesting. So I didn't get to see that one, but I did hear about the cocaine incident. It was at the toll bridge, right?
No, it was at the train station.
Train station. Okay. Well,
I remember anthrax was like a big scare at that point. God, this had to have been 13 years ago or so, but it was like a big scare, maybe even longer than that, but it was a
so
big scare at the time.
yeah, so the Brutus just kind of go, "Oops, hey guys, that was me."
Basically, the person that relieved him found it and thought it was anthrax. Then they realized, check the tape, it was him. He dropped something out of his pocket. It was a little baggie. Now, it's funny, him and his wife on the documentary were saying that it was aspirin in a little bag. But
Sure.
Greg Valentine goes, it was obviously cocaine,
Well, yeah. I mean, it's okay to stick to your story to a certain point, but yeah. So they saw him drop it on the film. Was how they caught it. Is how they found out.
Yep.
So I guess
So basically, the girl that relieved him were like, "Oh my God, it's anthrax! Who did this? What happened?" And I guess they checked it out, and it was him dropping the cocaine.
dropping the snabbits, he never even knew it.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, that's too bad. So
Ibsen says, "Do you or anybody know why that wherever Hogan went and had a spot in any federation, that Beefcake also has a spot in the company?" He's saying Brutus, meaning Brutus, always had a spot in that company as well.
well, yeah, it's because Hogan was friends. He could get his friends in the territory. So yeah, that makes sense.
Obviously, Hogan carried a lot of weight, right?
Yeah.
I mean, politically, he could get the guy in.
Sure. Exactly. Why wouldn't you? You want your friends in there.
Pretty loyal guy on that Hulkster, for the most part.
Yeah. For the most, I guess for the most part, yeah. But Brutus always had a
Brandon
gig
is.
Huh? Oh, why couldn't Beefcake get over to W?
Yeah, Brutus definitely always had a.
But I don't
Yeah,
know
why
why
couldn't
couldn't.
Beefcake get over in WCW? He had so many gimmicks.
Yeah, maybe it just never hit. Obviously, it just never hit. I don't know why he didn't get over.
I feel like he had so many gimmicks there. It's like
You couldn't pick, or you're freezing up.
the man with no name. He had so many gimmicks in WCW.
Yeah, so it's probably hard to just hang your hat on one and get behind one.
Brendan, I felt like WCW dropped the ball with so many gimmicks he went through. Do you agree with that?
Probably so. Probably so. Wasn't he the Zodiac at one time?
Yes, he was in the Dungeon of Doom as the Zodiac. Yes,
Zodiac,
no,
and
yes,
then
no, yep.
yeah, and then something else. Well, what else was he?
So he was the man. Well, he was the Butcher at first. Actually,
Right.
when he first came in, he was Brother Brudi. Then he was the Butcher. Then he was the man with no name. Then he was the Booty Man. Then he or no, then he
That's
was
right.
the
Well, that's four right there. John, you're freezing up. Are you there
Did I
now?
lose you?
Okay,
Did I
yeah, you
lose you there
froze
for a
up.
second?
You
Okay.
froze up there for a second.
Sorry about that. But yeah, he went through so many damn gimmicks in WCW that definitely dropped the ball.
Yeah, I could see why. Nobody can get behind those gimmicks. I mean, didn't know what he was going to be the next week, and yeah, just he wouldn't. He probably wasn't in too many meaningful angles either.
Not really, no.
No,
And like the Booty Man is just a terrible gimmick. I don't even know what the heck they're thinking about with that. I mean, is it a
no,
rib?
the Bodie Man. You know,
Seems like a bit of a rib.
hey, they don't rib and they don't want to be ribbed. They would never name anybody anything like Vincent or things like that.
Barbara saying Brutus is a nice fellow. Would you say he was a great worker?
I would say he was a good performer.
Not worker, work rate, in ring. You wouldn't say great.
I would say a good performer. I would. I would say he had charisma. He was. I thought he did a pretty good job as Brutus Beefcake.
Yeah, I mean he was over in WWF for what 9 years basically. I mean it's pretty
That's
impressive.
that's pretty impressive.
Had some
Definitely.
main events with Hogan too.
Yeah. So I guess if a great worker is getting in that spot and doing that stuff, then yeah, I'd say he's a great worker.
I felt like he
I thought he was a hell of a performer. I did.
feel like I liked him with the Dream Team with Greg Valentine because obviously Valentine's the great worker and he's got the look, but they work well together. Then when he became the barber, it was great because he got over cutting these guys' hair, put them to sleep, and then cutting their hair.
Right. Yeah. So he made good with what he had.
Donnie is saying I haven't watched wrestling in about 40 years, but I love those documentaries, the Dark Sides. Some of them are pretty good.
Yeah, somewhere right.
Did you meet Beefer in WWF in '93 when he was there, and you came in?
Yeah, I saw him when he was there, but I met him like I said in '79.
What did you think about him in '93? Because obviously he's got the new face, the reconstructed face.
Didn't think anything different of him. Not
Did you
sure
feel
what I
like
should have. Huh?
he slowed down as a worker though at that point?
No, I think he did just what he needed to do as a worker at that point. Bruce was still on top.
Yeah, yep. The hospital photos from Jason is saying the hospital photos they showed after the accident were brutal, capital B, brutal. I'm surprised they showed them that detail. Yeah, they actually showed the photos from the doctor from the power sailing accident. Pretty gross.
Well, ow. Yeah, I don't know if I want to see that.
And they explained like what they had to do and like rip his face basically because his face was caved in. They had to like rip his face, put the titanium rods in, and then put it back. Yeah, it was
Ouch.
yeah. And then when Hogan's taking him out of the room, he's trying to like lift the spear to get him out of the room. His eye is like coming out of its socket. They had to put his eye back in.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh, yeah. Ow. I don't know about that. It's
crazy,
really
crazy.
crazy. Yeah, that is crazy.
The doctor was saying, I'm surprised he lived. And he was saying he's surprised he could breathe. And he was surprised he could see. And then all of a sudden, much later, about 2 or 3 years later, he was actually wrestling again. So the doctor was pretty,
Phew.
pretty remarkable.
Yeah, that is pretty remarkable. That's just can't imagine. Don't want to imagine.
Donnie's saying there's so many mixed stories about Hogan. Seemed like in that documentary, though, it seemed like there's pretty positive about Hogan.
I would think so. I mean, there's going to be mixed stories about everybody eventually.
He did help Brutus out, I mean, big time. So
Right.
I feel like that one was definitely more positive for Brother
Yeah.
Brutus and Hulk. Well, Hulk
Yeah.
on his end.
I mean, you're always going to have somebody who has something to say.
Barbara was just saying, what's his best gimmick with Greg the Hammer Valentine? The Dream Team.
I thought they made a good team. I don't know if it was his best gimmick, but I thought it was one of his best gimmicks. I mean, how do you have one of the best gimmicks? So you have to either have the best gimmick or not, I guess. So, yeah, I thought the Dream Team was probably his best gimmick. I'll go with that.
What was Cornette's opinion of him, if any? Does Cornette like Brutus Beefcake?
I have no idea. I'm sure he would, though. I don't see any reason why he wouldn't.
I know there's some podcasters out there, Connie, for one, does not like Brutus the Barber Beefcake. He was actually wearing the shirt on the show, Brutus the F and Barber Beefcake.
Why is that?
Basically saying like he shouldn't have been in that spot. Why is Beefcake main eventing? And kind of, I guess, almost more of like a tongue in cheek, kind of making a joke of it. But obviously, the guy has so much TV time and TV equity. It's crazy.
Well, yeah, but that's okay. Like I said, you're gonna have pros and cons wherever you go.
Dan Might says, why those guys accuse Ultimate Warrior of drugs when really they were the ones behind it? I noticed after them accusing Warrior, they changed their tune. Warrior for life.
Which guys was he talking about?
I am not sure on that, but it's funny that if anybody mentions steroid guys, they do usually say Warrior, but I think they were all on it back then. I mean, I think that was the style, the lifestyle.
Did Beefcake say something about Warrior?
Yeah, they were all saying it, but I think Beefcake was on it too. I would imagine.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. He was talking about those guys. He's talking about Beefcake saying
Yeah,
something about Warrior. Okay,
but I think Beefcake was definitely on them as well at one point.
well, only he knows for sure.
Jason saying, I can tell Bischoff did not like Brutus Beefcake from his interviews.
Well, that could be true.
He said basically it was the Hulk Hogan tax, and that means you have to pay Brutus to be on the roster.
That could be it. That could be it 100%.
He laughed about it, but he said basically
Well,
Hogan
he
wouldn't.
was ribbing on Square, yeah.
Yeah. He said not that Hogan would demand it, but he wouldn't even say it. But you knew that you had to do it. Yeah.
Right.
Ibsen, did Vince at all ask for him during the Attitude Era? Was Beefcake on Vince's mind to bring him back?
I have no idea. I have no idea what was on Vince's mind.
I can't see him fitting into the Attitude Era.
Maybe
Beefer.
Yeah.
Scorch, if not for their injuries, I believe that Brutus Beefcake and Kurt Hennig would have been contenders for the world title, especially since Hogan kept leaving to star in movies. That's from Scorch. What do you think about that?
I think that's a good possibility. And Beefcake looked good. He always looked good. Why couldn't he fight for the title?
I was always surprised, though, that, right, Kurt Hennig, Mr. Perfect, he's undefeated. He's
Right.
undefeated for almost 2 years there. He's got a long run, but not Hogan ends the streak. Beefcake ended his undefeated streak. Isn't that kind of like insane if you think about it? A little crazy, or no?
No, I don't think so. I'm trying to make Beefcake. Just want
What
to have
about
somebody.
what about Hulkster? He was feuding with the Hulkster at that point, kind of feuding with him.
Yeah, kind of. But why not make beefcake? I mean, while you're feeding with the Hulkster.
I don't know. Always thought that Hulk should have, because it seemed like it was all leading up to Hulk and Perfect. I know they fought on some house shows and
Somebody,
eventually tennis main event, but I was hoping that they would feud.
I was listening to a podcast today, and they had Dave Meltzer talking about how it's sensible in wrestling. Have you heard this on Cornette's podcast?
No.
Where he Meltzer and Brian Alvarez, I guess, are arguing about why it makes sense, even though it makes no sense in wrestling. So,
One of those like, oh, but if it's like crazy and whatever, oh, but it's wrestling, so let it.
but it's it's the convenient way out. So, at the same time, if Hennig and Hogan are doing the angle, then why not just let Mr. Perfect or let Beefcake be perfect? You know what I mean?
Yep.
Just to make him, because he's got the angle with Hogan too. It's not going to hurt. Hogan doesn't need it.
Right. Gotcha.
Is what I would think. Or
and Beefer maybe needed it.
Yeah.
And they were going to lead up to Beefcake versus Hennig at SummerSlam that year. And obviously Texas Tornado wins the Intercontinental title instead. Beefcake has that horrible parasailing accident. But it does seem to be leading to a big push for Brutus.
Yeah. Well, it's wrestling. That's what I'll tell you.
What were Dave and Brian talking about for as far as trying to make sense at AEW or something?
In AEW, yeah, it was on Jim's podcast. God, I was watching it at school yesterday, so it was new. It was like just came on yesterday or the day before.
I'm gonna have to check that out. I do usually listen to the drive-through and the experience, just like CM Punk said on Raw. He said he only listens to the drive-through and the experience in his promo.
Cool.
Pretty funny you mentioned that.
Well, I guess if it's the Attitude Era all over again, I hope I really do hope they hit home with it. I do.
And then he said, Punk said to Drew McIntyre, he said, "Oh, you're the chosen one, right?" He goes, "Who came up with the nickname, the chosen one? Can you mention his name anymore? Where is he?" Meaning Vince.
Oh, really?
Because the Vince made up that nickname for McIntyre, and he was
Yeah.
saying, "I'm the chosen one." He's like, "Oh, by the way, who made up that nickname? Who? Can you mention his name? Can you say it?" Yeah, trying to bust balls. They were definitely just shooting, kind of going back and forth.
Well, yeah, that was kind of how the Attitude Era was. So maybe it is coming back. Maybe that's what they need.
I feel like they were having a lot of fun, like Punk. I know they were supposedly they're going over time, but they were kind of just going back and forth. He's like, you got my name on your T-shirt. I never had to put somebody else's name on my T-shirt to sell a shirt, and like just kind of just ribbing each other, going back and forth.
Yeah. Well, I hope they are having fun. It seems like they are. It seems like WrestleMania is going to be, I think, highly anticipated. I'm anticipating it. I want to see what they're going to do.
Yeah, they made it pretty interesting with this Rock Cody stuff, and obviously the Rock Kurt was cursing like crazy on Raw, saying look at this, f this, look at this, and then make Cody bleed. So it does seem to be definitely notching it up a level of.
So did he jump him back? Did Rock jump Cody backstage?
Yes.
Yep. Make him bleed in the rain.
Yep.
Okay, so they took it outside.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. I read that, but I haven't seen it yet.
Very good. I liked it a lot, and he said, "Don't fuck with, or excuse me, don't f with the final boss." And then he was cursing, but they people were filming it from the from the inside, filming the monitor, and he was actually cursing, and they obviously weren't getting it bleeped out, but us at home were getting it bleeped out.
Yeah. Well, if it works, it works. They're going to Netflix next year, right?
Yep.
Or in 2025, right?
2025. Yep.
Yeah, you can cuss on Netflix.
Oh yeah, they definitely seem like going away from the PG stuff. Even Cody saying like wank fest and all the other stuff, throwing out some curses and stuff. So it seems like they're definitely ratcheting it up as far as making it not so PG anymore.
Well, it's just them doing it too, right? It's just Cody and Rock and those guys doing
And Drew and Punk. Yep.
and Drew and Punk. So and it's yeah. As long as they keep it like that, I think it'll be fine.
ATF in 1990. Where did men shop for yellow zebra striped tights with fishnet sides? Wow, that is a good question.
Well, they had them custom made. You know what I mean? Any self-respecting barber would have them custom made.
That is a great question because Beefcake had all those weird tights. And it's like, where the
Yes, it
hell's he
did.
getting this stuff from? My God.
Well, at that time, they had great
Seamstress?
seamstresses. Yes, sure did.
Donnie says, how many bridges got burned because of his wife, meaning Beefcake? I heard another wrestler mention his wife before. What do you think about that? I don't know if you ever met her, knew her, or anything.
I've never met his wife, so I really don't know anything about her.
She was kind of saying on the documentary, and I guess Brutus said, "Oh, she gets the wrong reputation and things like that." But Greg Valentine was saying she's not nice, and Hogan was saying she's not nice and she's too much. And but basically, Valentine, who was like his best buddy, and obviously Hogan's has been his best friend since childhood, they're not friends with him anymore. And a lot of people think it's because of the wife.
Well, that certainly could be a real reason. Seen it happen before. So
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Magazine Retriever. Michael P.S. Hayes turned 65 this Friday. I thought he was 65 in 1995 because he had aged so much due to heavy partying for so many years. Do you agree with Magazine on this one?
Yes, I thought he was 65 in 1985. So yeah.
Another Michael P.S. Hayes from Del Mountain. Michael Hayes was only 40 years old when he managed the Hardy Boys in 1999. But I thought, why is Michael Hayes dressed like the Hardy Boys when he's old enough to be their grandfather?
That's a
Ouch.
low blow. That's a low blow to Del Mountain.
Ouch.
That's a low blow for Michael B.S. Haynes.
It is crazy to think that he's 40 because, like, okay, LA Knight is 40. Does he look 40? No, he looks like $1,000,000. AJ Styles is over 40. He doesn't really look, you know what I mean? Like, these guys look great. Hayes did look pretty old in 1999. No shade on him, but he did look old then.
Well, yeah. Michael might have had some long nights.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. We got to give Michael the excuse there because he's one of the all-time greats. We got to give him the excuse.
DBQRX.
Yeah. Nice. Thumbs up for us. The modern day cowboy himself, Mitch Miller. The barbershop was a great segment for interviews. We'll always remember the Rockers breakup on the barbershop.
Yeah, that kind of gave Beefcake something to do, and that was cool. When the Rockers broke up, went through the pane glass window that was supposed to be gimmicked.
Yep.
Still got cut up. So
that was pretty awesome, though, if you think about it.
Yeah, it was.
And they play that nonstop for 30 years. That happened in 92. Pretty crazy.
Yeah. Well, I thought it was awesome.
I loved it. Oh, the barber was a great gimmick. Yes, definitely agree. Craig Seaback says Corny likes anyone who draws money. Do you agree with that statement? Corny likes anybody who draws money.
I do believe that if they draw money, and yes, I think he would love anybody who drew money.
Even the Heavenly Bodies, I guess. That means the Heavenly Bodies must have drew some money.
So what do you mean even the Heavenly Bodies?
Oh,
that sounded pretty daggum. Yeah.
Sorry. But he did love
the Heavenly Bodies. Of course he's going to love the Heavenly Bodies.
Great team. Barbara, did Jake the Millman retire after Brutus Beefcake cut off his rat tail? What do you think about the Millman?
No, I think the Milkman continued on for 10 more years.
Yeah, I know AWA, but did he do anything else of significance? Really?
No, I think he got his rat tail cut off by Brutus Barber Beefcake. Yeah.
I know, obviously, WWF job matches, but as far as anything, I guess kind of being an AWA superstar for a little bit there towards the end of their run.
Yeah.
The Milkman.
Not everybody can say that.
Love that gimmick and his look. Love that look as well. Frank Nordquist, Brutus Beefcake broke Kurt Hennig's perfect streak, excuse me. When that happened, he was over with the fans like never before. He was over for sure.
Yeah. Well, then he did it right.
Cutting and strutting. Perfect was absolutely hated. Yeah, I mean, I guess if you're to your point, I guess if somebody needs it, then they could break somebody's undefeated streak because it helps elevate them. Hogan didn't need anything. He was,
Yeah.
the god of wrestling at that point, so he didn't really need to necessarily end the perfect streak.
Yeah. So it might have been Hogan's idea. Who knows? Let's start that rumor. It was Hogan's idea.
Yes, to get Brutus over. Yeah, there
Yeah.
you go.
There you go.
100% Hogan's idea. I agree.
Yeah.
Brandon is saying, of course, the Rocker split on the barbershop. Yes. Jason, Brutus's matches against Valentine after Brutus turned face are fun to watch.
Yeah, they had good matches. Thought Valentine. Of course, I've always enjoyed Greg Valentine.
Me too. Valentine's awesome. He's
Yeah.
got an awesome match. One of Hogan's best matches back in God. I think it was '84. Him and
Yeah.
Hogan tear the place down, and him and Garvin, him and Piper. I mean,
You
man,
know,
Valentine was pretty awesome.
if you watch those matches, you watch the timing and the creative that they put into that. Those guys were awesome.
I think it was Brother Brucey that said when you put Valentine and Brutus together, it's basically okay. This guy's legit, tough, awesome worker. Let's put him with the guy that kind of is younger, needs a bit of experience, needs a bit of a rub. Put him with Valentine, and
Yeah.
pretty smart thinking there.
Yeah. I think so too.
Dan Might, my Mount Rushmore. Here we go. Mount Rushmore, Ultimate Warrior, Andre the Giant, Macho Man Randy Savage, and The Undertaker. What do you think about that? Who's your Mount Rushmore?
Well, I think you have to go Mount Rushmores by the eras because if you're talking about Mount Rushmores, if you talk to the old schools, people like that, they'll say Thesz or they'll say Dory Funk or they'll say Terry Funk or, you have different eras and I think you have to have different mountains because nobody's going to understand. We watched the match, Terry Funk versus Bruiser Brody, where Jimmy Snuka and Dory Funk Jr. get involved at the end. And so one of the guys said, "Hey, who's the old timer?" So that's Dory Funk Jr. So for Dory's time frame in the business, he was on top. He was what they needed for what wrestling was.
Right.
So if you're going to look at that time frame, because Lou Thesz at one time was on everybody's Mount Rushmore. He was Lou Thesz or Pat O'Connor or Buddy Rogers. Where you put Buddy Rogers? Where you got Savage on this one, but then you get into the modern era. You got guys like Taker and Warrior. And you have to have Andre on there, but you have to have where's Stone Cold, where's The Rock,
Yep.
Where's Hunter, where's Shawn Michaels. There's a lot of guys that belong on the mountain, and
we wouldn't be talking about WWF without Hogan either. So I mean, he's got to be on every Mount Rushmore. He's got to be the lead guy, even though there's no lead guy. But he's got to be, front and center.
Yeah, but you got Shawn Michaels, Mr. WrestleMania. That's they didn't just do that for anybody. That was Shawn Michaels, so he's got to be there.
Here's a great question from the king himself, the king of Kingsport, Bo James. How many undefeated streaks did Dr. Tom end? Wow.
6.5. The half one, the referee counted 2.5, and it came out to be a draw.
Oh, I thought you were going to say you beat Little Beaver or something, or
Well, it could have been. I've beaten Little Beaver before, pal. So.
Dan is saying, congrats. Still looking good for your age. Wow, Dan's putting you over. Nice.
Well, how about that? Thanks, Dan.
It's going back to the Mount Rushmore, though. I would have to go Hogan, Flair, Austin, and The Rock. That would be mine, but that's mine. It's just my personal Mount Rushmore there.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I can remember the guys that I thought because I watched them growing up. But then you got to get to the modern era, and you got to have Stone Cold there. You got to have Rock. You got to have Hogan.
Yep.
Yeah, you got to have Flair. But then
Crazy that guy
where's
called Dory Funk an old man. What the hell?
well, yeah. So
Yeah, there's so many guys on the Mount Rushmore that could be considered, I would think. Hey, Dr. Tom, if you managed Ultimate Warrior, do you think he would have gotten way farther? Axe and Smash said Warrior was just misunderstood.
yeah, he was certainly misunderstood, but I don't think I could have done anything to steer him in another path, in another way, because he was pretty much determined to do things his way.
Hello, Magic Man himself, Mike D. Hello. Barbara says, it seems like the fans like The Rock better as a heel. What's Dr. Tom's take on this? The fans do love him.
Yeah, I think he's better as a heel too. It gives him more material to work with, and yeah, I think it makes more sense to me.
The king of memorabilia, greetings from Puerto Rico. Who are Dr. Tom's top tag teams of all time?
Well, I got to go with Rock and Roll Express and the Midnight Express is top two. Then for my again growing up and watching these teams work for that time frame, you had the Infernos and you had the Von Brauners. Each team had a manager, and they were these slimy, weaselly managers, but sometimes they had to get in the ring and wrestle. So there's four teams right there. The Road Warriors certainly got to be in there, man. But I think that's five.
Pretty good list there. Magic Man says, what about El Gigante, Giant Gonzalez for Hall of Fame? Is he Hall of Fame material? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, why not? Why not put El Gigante in there?
As far as Chief Cook is concerned, he's just questioning how come WWE or AEW, how come women can't bring the ratings up? Is basically what his gist is there. What's your take on this? Is it not good storylines? What's your take on the women?
Well, I think there's a lot of people who like the women. I do believe there's a lot of people who like the women. Becky Lynch, I thought she had cut a hell of a promo. I think was it Friday night with Rhea Ripley. Was it Friday?
Was it
That I saw
Monday? No, it
this?
was Monday. Yeah,
Or
it was
Monday.
Monday. Yep.
Okay, Monday. Then I caught that. So it was, it seems like it is getting back to the Attitude Era where they're bringing personal issues into it. Don't you speak about my daughter again? Type thing. So I don't know. I think there's some people who do like the women and like what they're doing.
Was it Adrian Adonis who got the Brutus the Barber Beefcake gimmick? According,
Uh,
according to Brutus, he was kind of giving Hogan the credit for the Beefcake gimmick. I know Vince is the one that wanted it, thought it was cool or whatever, but he kind of gave
right.
Hogan a lot of credit for it.
Well, it could be then. I'm going to believe Briefcake over that.
Adonis was the first one to really get the hair cut, though. Remember at WrestleMania they
Ah,
cut his hair, but pretty good stuff. It seems Michael P.S. Hayes has a lot of miles on his tires. He says the Iron Sheik hid his herbal medicine from the cops and refused to return it. Wow, a lot of taking pot shots at Michael Hayes' age tonight. What do you think about that?
well. I mean, if the shoe fits, but Michael will tell you he's been down some rough, winding roads. I spent a week with him one night in Atlanta.
Oh yeah,
So, yeah. Oof. So, he's definitely a free bird.
definitely. Mitch
Yeah.
is saying Brutus Beefcake's entrance music was catchy. Yes, very
Yes.
catchy.
Yeah.
I feel like
Very
if you
cool.
got that good entrance music and you have that, that great look, obviously Beefcake had a great look. You're in like Flynn. You know what I mean? You're halfway there basically.
Yeah, pretty much. And he knew how to perform. He knew how to entertain. I thought Beefcake was a hell of a performer. Yeah, was a hell of a worker. I'll say that. Yeah, hell of a worker.
When you look at Beefcake, I mean, I feel like people kind of not laugh him off, but oh, it's just like a silly gimmick. But that was the WWF at that time. I mean, they really, they were wacky like that. They love gimmicks like that. The
Yeah,
sports entertainment stuff. Vince loved that stuff.
you know, not everybody can pull off a gimmick. I'm speaking from experience, man. You got to be able to pull it off, and he did. He pulled off the Brutus Beefcake. Not just anybody could have done that. Anybody could have took the gimmick, but not done what Beefcake did with it.
Yep. Brendan saying, do you think if Vince let Terry Gordy be himself and not the executioner, would he have been over as a top heel?
I don't know. I mean, that was after Terry came back and from Japan, and things happened. So I think at that time, they're trying to protect, because he wasn't the Terry Gordy of old. He really wasn't. So I think, I don't know. We'll never know, but I mean, I don't think so.
How old was Terry Gordy when he passed away? I believe he was 40 years old.
Yeah, maybe 40 years old.
Yeah, I think the executioner thing was almost, and Foley mentioned that it was almost a way of kind of hiding that he was Terry Gordy a little bit, because didn't want to disrespect kind of
Right,
this great wrestler, this great worker, just because he wasn't 100% with it or 100% healthy.
right.
So don't know if it was probably maybe a better idea just to be the executioner.
Yeah, I think so. They tried to do what they could do, but it was what it was.
Roll me one Kenobi. Hey, all, Dr. Tom, you're a Hall of Famer. You're a legend. Hall of Fame is inevitable.
Awesome, roll me one.
When did Jimmy Jam Garvin look so old? He looks older than Ronnie Garvin.
Well, you got to remember, Jimmy is in his 70s. So
Isn't Ronnie only like 5 years older than him? Like, aren't they close in age?
who's that?
Ronnie
Ronnie and
Garvin and Jimmy. Yeah, aren't they close in age?
maybe they are. I really don't know. Honest to goodness, I don't know.
Let me check it out. Jimmy Garvin.
Yeah, Jimmy has to be at least 75.
Jimmy is 71.
Oh, 71. Okay.
Ronnie Garvin is 78.
So Ronnie's a little older.
Not as much older as you would think. I would think he was way older, but yeah. But I feel like a lot of people are taking shots at the Freebirds tonight because they're too much partying and look older than what it seems.
Well, that's on them, John. I'm not taking any shots at the Freebird tonight.
Different than other nights. I won't get into it, but different than other nights. Maybe privately taking shots at the Freebirds. When Brutus went into the Hall of Fame, was that a head scratcher to you?
No, no, Beefcake. Beefcake was part of that again, WWF, when it was characters and people were popular and pop culture was happening all around it. And no, he was part of that. So wouldn't head scratcher at all.
In one interview, Brutus recounts the backup plan for what to do if Zeus forgot his spots during the match. During his matches, all things considered, Zeus worked pretty well for a guy who was so green.
Yeah. So that only makes sense to have a backup plan, because you just never know.
Do you agree that Zeus was good, or considering he was so
Yeah, for a
green?
guy who was that green, yeah, of course. Thought he did a great job.
Brutus said that him and Greg the Hammer Valentine were bringing the Bulldogs along because the Bulldogs were pretty green, and still he is delusional with that opinion. Yeah, what do you think about that? They were saying that the Bulldogs were a bit green when they were working the Bulldogs.
I don't know about that. I mean, they had already been working for a while. So
And
I don't
and, and,
know.
and Dynamite being green, he was one of the best wrestlers in the world for years. At that
Yeah.
point, when he got WWF, it's almost like his later years. Like he was already one of the best in the world.
Well, it could have been Bruce's recollection, and figuring, since nobody's here to debate it, he could just say it.
And I mean, maybe because British Bulldog David Boy Smith was a lot younger. Maybe he's thinking that he was green, even though he really wasn't.
Right.
But not Dynamite. My God,
Yeah, it could have been. He could have just recollected something different than it really was.
Craig is saying he thinks he was delusional, so
Yeah.
that could be as well. Roll Me One says The Rock has been amazing on WWE TV right now. It reminds me of 1998 Rock.
Well, I think he's been amazing too, from what I've seen. So I hope he keeps it up for these next 2 weeks.
Magic Mike D says Giant Gonzalez, Greg Valentine, Rick Martel, Matt Bourne, Scott Bigelow is his Mount Rushmore, even though there's one extra guy in there. Yeah, that would be his Mount Rushmore.
You got Matt Bourne on there, which is good. I like that. Scott Bigelow.
I don't know about Giant Gonzalez. I would probably take him off of there for sure. Barbara says Dick the Bruiser and the Crusher should be on people's, or will make a lot of people's
Yeah.
Mount Rushmore.
Yeah, 100%. That's what I'm saying. Pat O'Connor would make a lot of people's Mount Rushmore. I watched the Pat O'Connor match today, and I went, "Oh my goodness!" This is when Pat should have already stopped wrestling.
Oh,
yeah, from the chase. I think he was. I don't know how late he went into wrestling, but it didn't look good.
any word on Billy Jack? I have not heard anything about Billy Jack Haynes.
Neither have I.
I might have to look into that. Dr. Tom, didn't you trade Shane to compete in the ring? Shane McMahon.
Yes, I did. Shane's a good guy. Shane's a good man.
Have you talked to Shane lately?
Not lately.
Mitch, the modern day cowboy himself, says Kurt Angle seems to be forgotten on a lot of people's Mount Rushmore list.
Right. That's what I'm saying. It's hard to narrow down just 4 people because there's a lot that just depends what you watched growing up, what hit you, and how you reacted to it.
Dr. Tom, underrated trainer. He trained legends in this business, and long may it continue.
Well, thank you, Roll Me One. I'm looking forward to it to continue.
Who are the top 4 talkers on the mic of all time?
Well, I got Dream, got Superstar, got Piper. Oh my gosh, Dick Murdoch. Just heard a Dick Murdoch promo today too. But Dusty Rhodes, I heard, and you got to put Flair in there too. But then that's what I mean. You can't just stop at 4. But I watched some wrestling from the Chase from back in '78 and '79. I saw a promo from Dusty Rhodes I'd never seen before. And he just won the world championship. And he's coming back to work St. Louis against Flair. Flair had a promo earlier. It was like a 3-minute promo. And but they connected the dots and they told a story. And it wasn't just about wrestling. It talked about, I fought hard to be the world champion. I can't recite it verbatim, but these guys were masters at cutting a promo and getting you to listen to it. It wasn't always about them when just going to kick your ass. They told you the story, the struggle, and the passion that they had. So there's not just 4 great ones. I mean, my gosh, Austin, Rock. Where do you stop?
There is a ton. Barbara's just throwing it out there as far as tag teams. Road Warriors and the Body Donnas.
Who the Body Donnas they burned in a flaming car wreck. They burned up. Yeah.
Ivy Nile in WB is going to be a star in the future. You obviously trained her.
Yes,
Stax is looking pretty good in NXT. Another guy you trained. Yep.
Yeah.
Dr. Tom, did you ever take one of Terry Gordy's famous work punches that he pulled off so well?
Yes, I did. I worked with Terry in Montgomery singles match. And yes, I took his famous punch.
I also saw you worked him a bunch in 1979. Freebirds, Hayes and Gordy versus you and Charlie Cook, you and Mark Totten, you and King Cobra. So interesting.
Maybe we did. Yeah, I had my 3rd match in Louisiana against the Freebirds.
Nice.
Me and Ernie Ladd against Michael and Terry. And I took the backdrop power bomb or backdrop pile driver, I think it was.
And then again in Smoky Mountain in '95, you wrestled him. Well, you
Yeah,
teamed with him anyway
yeah,
against Brad Armstrong and the Thugs. So you did end wrestling him probably about 5 or 6 times at least, or
yeah,
in the ring with him 5 or 6 times at least.
yeah, yeah. And I know I worked with him in Montgomery too, so I don't know if that's listed or not, but it was Continental Wrestling.
Jake from Frank. Jake Roberts mentioned the post coma Terry Gordy reviewing his old VHS tapes from 15 years earlier. Jake said, sadly, Terry had to relearn everything.
Yeah, that is sad. It is sad.
From the King of Kingsport himself, Bo James, Edna's birthday is on the 6th of April, and Jen's birthday falls on the 15th of October. Therefore, Amir's birthday must be the question of January. Wow, what a little question, a little riddle here for
The
for Dr.
6th of
Tom.
April,
Yep.
the 15th of October. Um, I have no idea.
Damn, Bo, that is
You
that is
got
a
that one,
tough one.
John?
No, I couldn't get that one either.
Okay.
I love the effort, though. I mean, great.
Nice effort.
What did Cornette think of Gordy? He was all over this
I
documentary talking about him.
I believe he loved Terry Gordy. That I can pretty much believe, just knowing the kind of person Terry was and knowing the kind of person Jim is.
Was it only the larger wrestlers like Terry Bam Bam Gordy and Bruiser Brody who did well in Japan?
Well, no, you had Dynamite Kid, you had Fujinami, you had Benoit, Eddie Guerrero, the guys who got over pretty good in Japan, did very well.
Do you consider Puerto Rico a place where they can still get wrestling talent?
Yeah, I do. I think if you have a good promoter there, I don't know if Savio still runs there or not. Does Carlos still run there? Do you know?
I think so. I think so. I think Eddie, Eddie and Primo or whatever, or Eddie and Orlando. I think the two brothers I think are still working down there.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think they can.
Hey, when Bad Bunny was there, remember he wrestled Damian Priest? They had a hell of a match, hell of a show down there. The crowd was
Yeah,
nuts.
yeah. So it's still possible.
Craig, too many mid carders in the Hall of Fame, yet Bad News Brown isn't, aka Bad News Allen, isn't in, and he had main event runs with Hogan and Savage. Yeah, that is a weird one as well. His name doesn't get brought up enough. He should be in the Hall of Fame.
Well, that's what I mean. You have to have people bring it up and talk about it, remind them. But I agree, Bad News should be in the Hall of Fame.
Man, you want a Mount Rushmore here. Jake the Milkman Millman, Kenny Sidebuster, the hippie Mike Boyette, and Nacho Barrero should have made the Jobbers Mount Rushmore. Wow, what an interesting list there from Barbara. Do you agree with that list?
I'll agree with that list.
First time I heard anything negative about Brutus was from the Something to Wrestle podcast. That's from the Ragu Overlord. Have you ever heard of Something to Wrestle? Do you know what that is?
Isn't that a vase that you put on your desk? It's Something to Wrestle podcast.
Oh, I thought that was your brother.
Oh, that's it.
Oh,
That's the one.
right.
Yeah.
He
Well, I
had
don't-
he had a lot of bad things for some reason to say. Him and Connie don't like Brutus or didn't like Brutus.
well, we have a different relationship.
Magazine. Ted DiBiase told one Japanese promoter, when Terry Gordy is this drunk, you better take him back to the hotel before he destroys this place.
I can believe that.
When Dusty fought superstar Billy Graham for the belt in New York, his charisma was off the charts.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was definitely off the charts.
Gordy was 14 when he started wrestling. Dr. Tom, you have an age limit for wrestlers.
Yes, we started 18. I started actually Kenzie Page trained with me when she was 16. She had been wrestling since she was 14. So we've done as young as 16, but we usually like to do it at 18.
Wow. Okay. Interesting. Yeah. I can't believe Gordy was 14. Didn't look 14, but yeah.
Yeah.
Eddie again from the King Kingsport here. So Edna's birthday is on the 6th of April, and Jen's birthday falls on the 15th of October. Therefore, Amir's birthday must be, and then he follows it up. Finally, we get the answer here. January 24th, 24th of January.
Okay.
Very interesting there.
I'll write that down.
I'm definitely going to go back and make sure.
Yes.
Make sure.
I got my book right here. I'll write it down.
Yes. Donnie says jobbers do not get enough credit.
Well, sometimes you do.
By the way, Savio's still running in Puerto Rico and still training guys in Puerto Rico. So that might be somebody to keep an eye on.
Ah, yeah.
And Carlos does not run anymore. Jovica is running it right now.
Oh, okay.
Victor Jovica.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go. Dr. Tom, how do we get your wrestling book? Can we get an autographed copy? It's a travesty you're not in the Hall of Fame. Dr. Tom, the book right here, the beautiful book.
You can go get that book at jpwrestlingacademy.com. Hit the training tab at the top of the page, and it'll bring you right to that book. Also, if you want an autographed copy, just email me at jpwrestlingacademy@gmail.com. Attention, Dr. Tom. And I'll tell you how to do that.
Wolfie D was promoting it, so everybody else get out there and get that book. Yes. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at 2Man Power Trip. You could follow Dr. Tom at Dr. Tom Prichard. Anything else you got going on in this crazy
We have a
world?
big graduation going on this week at SPCW in La Follette, Tennessee. So it's all good.
Bring the book to 80s Con is what Ibsen is saying. Great show as always, guys. Thank you. Phil. Thank you, Phil. Thank you, Mitch. Thank you, Barbara. Just one quick question here. Would you have loved Brother Love to manage you, Dr.
Sure.
Brother Love?
Why not?
Would have been good. Would have been interesting. I would have enjoyed that.
Yeah.
I don't know about better than Cornette though. That's kind of
well. I don't know. I don't know how you beat Cornette.
One final question: any Canadian appearances coming up?
Not right now, Mitch. But you never know what's in the cards.
All right. Thank you, everybody out there, for listening. See you right back here next week for a little Take You to School with Dr. Tom Prichard. See you next week, folks.